Hi, good afternoon. We can start with the proceedings. Deshna, over to you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you're all having a good day so far. I'm Deshna Roy, an investment associate at the Great Unicorn Hunt. Before we proceed, let me explain what the Great Unicorn Hunt is. At its core, it's an AI backed deal discovery engine and a community powered platform. We've built a networking portal of over 6,000 unicorn hunters and unicorn spotters, including investors, operators, scouts, and founders. It's where knowledge, capital, and ambition intersect, and it's working. In just the last 24 months, we have originated 117 crores worth of term sheets. We are proud launchers of the Snakes and Ladders, the world's first AI powered startup show on YouTube, designed to expose both kinds of mismatches and to train investors to see the ladder before the snake. Now, I would like my colleague Priyanshu Dogra to take over and set the context.
Thank you, Deshna. I am Priyanshu Dogra. So, following Deshna's introduction to the Great Unicorn Hunt, now let me talk about something that addresses a major pain point most investors we meet talk about. It's pre-diligence. So, curation stage pre-diligence is possibly the biggest bottleneck in the early funnels for VCs, family offices, and super angels. With finite bandwidth in-house, it's hard to go deep on every deck without risking missing a winner or wasting time and money on a bad mango. That's exactly why we built Dealma, India's first AI-powered deal manager. We train it on over 50 million words and resources to think like an investor. And the result is pre-diligence reports that deliver sharp insights quickly across 12 robust categories. Now I would like to request my colleague Kajal to take over.
Kajal, you're on mute. You'll have to unmute yourself and then start if you don't mind.
Hello. Thank you, Priyanshu. Hello, I am Kajal Bora from the Great Unicorn Hunt. Discovering transformative investment opportunities require a sharp focus on industry-specific dynamics and emerging trends. So, let me just give you a quick walkthrough to our 12 thematic reports, which are AI generated. What I love about these reports is that each report is tailored to a specific sector, offering deep dives into market trends, competitive landscapes, and transformative innovations. These thematic reports enable investors to make focused, informative decisions and stay ahead in the rat race. Now, I am going to hand over to Mr. Sachin, the founder and CEO of the Great Unicorn Hunt, for the next segment. Thank you.
Thanks, Kajal. Thanks, Priyanshu. Thanks, Deshna. And thanks to all of you who are here this afternoon. And thanks to your note takers as well, because I'm presuming your note takers are going to carry the message back to you, and we'll have one-on-one conversation as well very soon. So as you know, this quick session is about the pre-diligence, the AI-powered pre-diligence reports that we have created, the 12 themes that we have created. And I'm going to request Kajal to bring up on the screen our offering so that it would be easier for me to walk you through what the 12 themes are. And as this thing comes up on the screen, let me quickly give you a context of where this all originated from. As most of you would agree, pre-diligence is almost like the make or break stage. That's where you might have a situation where some extremely flawed propositions have walked in, and the team is dedicating its bandwidth, its resources, and sometimes precious capital just because the pre-diligence, was not indicating the right things that should have popped up. You may have also experienced that at a pre-diligence stage, sometimes the team did not have enough ammo to form a conviction, and an excellent proposition that was later picked up by somebody became a multi-bagger. The pre-diligence stage that we have created with Dilma is basically meant to address this particular aspect. So these are the 12 reports, and I would rather call them 12 themes that we have created. And the reason we call this 12 themes is from our experience and our interactions with different VCs. We have realized that most pre-diligence exercises are focused on one of the 12 topics, if not all. And I'm just going to give you a few seconds to glance at the various themes we have created. The first one is the pitch deck report, where we look at a pitch deck and give you an instant sort of assessment of what are the pros and cons, the positives, the negatives, the improvement areas, just by looking at the pitch deck that you could be evaluating. However, as you would imagine, there would be a lot of other things to see outside the pitch deck, like a balance sheet. So if you have extracted the balance sheet during your founder conversations or during your evaluations, you could actually use the balance sheet as an input for the pre-diligence balanced report. The third one, the financial overview, is where you could look at different financial statements, the income statements, the cash flow statements, and a variety of other financial documents to arrive at a fairly incisive analysis of what the reports are telling you. So sometimes one may argue and saying, oh, but we have an army of CAs, or we have an army of company secretaries, we have an awesome team, and do we really need these AI reports? And my answer would be that under no circumstances is this meant to substitute what your team is already doing. This is meant to augment, this is meant to add to their acumen and obviously to their bandwidth and the ability to research multiple startups at the speediest time without compromising on any of the aspects that pre-diligence may require. I won't read the whole list. It's on your screen. If you're recording this, and if your screen is getting recorded, you would see that the pre-diligence market size, or serial number 5, where we do the competitive benchmarking, and so on, right up to serial number 12, where we do the supply chain analysis reports, are part of the 12 offerings. What I'm also going to do is request Kajal to scroll down, and we'll also share this link in the chat box where you could have a look at this at leisure. But I would also encourage you to look at the sample reports. So Kajal, if you could just click on the link for sample reports. Let's quickly show them the sample reports for you to get an idea. Now there is a disclaimer I want to share about the sample reports. Number one, while these are certainly sample reports, you may have to bear in mind that these sample reports have been created for some other startup on the basis of an ask of some other querent, so to say. So while we have put up a sample report, you will realize that your startup that you are evaluating or your startup ask could be very different. So please take this sample report with a pinch of salt. This is purely meant to give you an idea of what are the possibilities, what are the possible inclusions that could get into this report. But this is not meant to, under any circumstances, give you a flavor or a feeling that, hey, my output is going to look like this. In fact, your output is going to be dictated by the startup you are studying, the inputs you provide to us, and most importantly, the ask you give. Just for ease of understanding, I'm going to click on whichever. So maybe serial number 3, Kajal, if you could please click. The financial overview analysis report. And this is typically how the report will look. And if you just scroll down with a larger screen, if possible, it will have the table of contents. That's right. This is better. Yeah, you can stop at that. Just scroll down. Now, the first section will actually be a rating section. So what we have done, you can hold it with points 3 being visible. Yeah, this is fine. Yeah. If you see that this first section is completely dedicated for ratings, and the whole idea is to extract as much as possible an extremely objective way of looking at the input. And in this cases where evaluating the financial documents, you will find that there is a weightage given to each row. You will actually see the rationale as to why 1 to 3 is a score that revenue health may get if the year-on-year growth is less than 50%. It would also indicate what kind of data sources you would need. And it goes on. So if you just scroll down, revenue health, profit power, cash safety, financial stability, just scroll down, cost control and market position, and 7th and 8th being growth, scalability and strategic financials are some of the heads. It is not going to be very difficult for you to imagine how long it is going to take if you decide to do this extremely objective evaluation on your own. The other thing I hear quite often is with reference to Or no, just keep it steady till I ask you to move. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just keep it steady till I ask you to move. The other question I usually get is around each of these metrics and, oh, can't we do it on ChatGPT? Can't we do it on Claude and, so many other AI tools? And my answer is, of course, you can do it. There's nothing that stops you from harnessing a generic AI tool. But that is where the rub lies. It is going to be a generic tool. It's going to possibly get into its own knowledge bases, sort of scrub various reference points. But at the end of the day, it's going to be generic. The only difference between Dilma and a generic tool is that Dilma, as we mentioned earlier, has been sort of trained, tutored, customized with over 50 million words. And it has been trained to think like an investor. Plus, we are not really at the mercy of one single tool, because you would find in our internal assignments, when we are studying reports, when we are analyzing, it's quite common for us to use the input of one report, feed it into the other tool, see what the other tool is telling us, extract the output from that, again scrub it back with our base tool, and come up with fairly accurate scrubbing that you would need. So this rating section you would find in every single sample report, which means whatever you are studying, whatever you are evaluating, will always have an objective ratings. Having said that, let me come down, scroll down to the next page of the report, Kajal, and bring up the narrative portion of how the report would look. Just scroll up. Is there a word narrative written somewhere? Yeah, we start with oh, okay, it's not there. So Muskan, we might have to, I think, just bring that B portion, detailed narrative here.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is the B narrative part. This is what I was talking to. Now, this, if you realize, is the actual part where we come up with the write-up that your startup is likely to throw up in terms of the assessment. Kajal, if you could just scroll down and just do like a step-by-step scrolling down, because I'm not going to read through the entire report, but this is just for you to get a context of the industry context that has been extracted here. It actually compares this startup, this particular EV startup with different companies, the annual revenue, the key business model. If you could scroll down, it looks at the income statements and it tries scroll down and it tries to compare the revenue growth, the real example, the cash flow statements, the financing activities, the cash burn rate, and multiple other documents that are getting evaluated, sifted as a part of this narrative. So you could, like I mentioned, have a look at all the reports, sample reports, with this disclaimer that I shared earlier, that your startup evaluation could look very different. You can stop sharing this, Kajal, and if you could just put the link again in the chat box, a link to this page, not the sample report page, the main page.
Yeah.
That would be terrific, and you can stop sharing the screen. So this, in a nutshell, is a quick walkthrough of the reports that we have created. Each report has been priced at a super attractive pricing of rupees 8,000 per report. However, we also have a functionality woven into it where we have realized most VCs for any sort of typical evaluation may need to look at six, kind of reports. And we have clubbed that in such a way that out of all these reports, any six that you select could actually be a part of the discount pack where you don't have to pay 48,000 rupees, but you could just pay 38,000 rupees for all these reports. So that in a nutshell is about the pre-diligence reports that we have created, but happy to take questions if any. The good part and the bad part is that note takers don't ask questions. So I don't think we are going to get any questions. But what I'm going to do is, starting with Deshna, we have got some FAQs internally with us. And I'm going to request Deshna to just read the D1, the first FAQ, and then maybe I'll request Kajal to read K1 and Priyanshu to. So we'll just go through a couple of FAQs just for you to get a hang of what are the typical questions that investors ask us when they see this report. Deshna, over to you.
Yes. So the first question is, how are the thematic reports different from the generic market reports?
Great. So I think the answer lies in the question because the generic reports or the market reports are what they are. They're generic and they're from the market. They're never customized for the startup you're evaluating. So if you're doing a very generic extraction, those reports might serve your purpose. But here you are a part of a deal team, you have a pre-diligence challenge, you are grappling with a startup that could be an absolutely rotten mango or could be an awesome proposition, and you're torn in terms of how to evaluate that and get the key insights to make that decision. And that's where a generic market report will just not serve your purpose. You'll have to go in for something that's extremely customized, which is what Dilma strives to accomplish. I hope that answered your question.
Yes, noted.
Great. Kajal, do you want to bring up the next FAQ, please?
Yeah. Is AI generated reports accurate enough compared to the due diligence reports made manually?
Excellent question. So we get this question quite often, that are these reports accurate enough? And my answer is, in all fairness, it's the same extremely sophisticated technology advancements in AI that we use, including DeepSeek and a whole lot of AI models that have created. So in all fairness, we are as accurate and as inaccurate as these hugely technology generated models have created the framework, so to say. Having said that, why our models are likely to be more accurate, A, is because the constant sifting verification of data that happens via multiple tools. So it's almost like going through a multiple filtration process. And secondly, because our systems are pre-primed, so to say, with accurate data, a lot of likelihood in terms of the accurate results surfacing compared to a generic extraction is possible. So yes, to answer your question, while the report will always come with the standard disclaimers, these reports are likely to be more accurate than your run-of-the-mill AI outputs that you get from other sources. I hope that answers your question. Great. Thanks, Kajal. Priyanshu, would you like to bring up the next FAQ?
Yes, sir. The question would be, how do we measure the ROI of using Delma?
Excellent. If you really ask me, the ROI part is not something we compute for you. That's for the VCs to compute for themselves. But I would say that there are two ways to compute the ROI. One is simply at a payroll level, like, oh, I have so many interns, or I have so many people in the deal team, and how many deals do I evaluate? And that's a straight, simple math. But unfortunately, it may be a bit of an injustice to measure ROI purely in terms of comparing this, with the wage cost or the payroll cost, or comparing it by saying, oh, this report costs only 8,000 rupees. Because if you really look at the overall cost, even if you were to do 6 reports for any startup, which is say 38,000 rupees, let me round up to 40,000 rupees. And 40,000 into, let's assume you are evaluating 10 startups, in a week, or maybe, let's take that as an average number. So that's 4 lakhs, and into a month is 16 lakhs. Now compare that in terms of your payroll, in terms of your wage bill, and you would realize that, hey, if we had to really look at adding the billing costs of the deal team, the chief investment officer, and all those people involved, it was a huge drain on their bandwidth. And this is possibly a fraction of the cost that goes in terms of evaluating. But this is, like I mentioned, a very narrow way of looking at the ROI. A better way to look at the ROI is in terms of looking at your MOIC and your IRR over a period of time. Like, were you able to weed out the bad mangoes? Were you able to work on some of the better propositions by virtue of getting extractions, by virtue of getting AI powered insights into so many specific things about a startup? Because finally, a VC's life, or for that matter, any professional investor's life, is about delivering returns to the LPs. And we would imagine that the Dilma and this specific pre-diligence set of services would have a super humongous role to play in driving up your returns for the VCs. So I would imagine that's the better way to look at it than a conventional, cost comparison. I hope it answers your question.
Yes, sir.
Great. Are there any questions from anybody in the audience? I wouldn't expect, because usually we have seen that the note takers, after having done their job, would go back to the respective individuals, and if the individuals have any questions, and they would come back. So what I'm going to do is request Muskan to share our Calendly link. And if anybody would like to have a separate chat on Calendly, they can do that. So I would be happy to take questions or set up individual meetings as well. Okay, great.
Fine. I don't have any questions for that.
Yeah, Daniel, you want to ask a question?
No, I don't have a question for now.
I can't hear you, unfortunately.
I don't have a question for now.
Okay, great. No worries. So if there aren't any questions, we can conclude this session. Thanks to all of you for joining this session, and we'll be in touch via individual calls at the earliest. And team will be meeting for our internal meeting at 4:30 p.m. Thanks, guys. Best of luck. Best wishes.
Thank you.